نار جهنم فتقوى بها جباههم وجنوبهم وظهورهم هذا ما كنزتم لأنفسكم فذوقوا ما كنتم تكنزون صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي رب زدني علما. My respected elders and brothers, inshallah we'll go over what is zakat, which are the items on which we have to give zakat, what are zakat exempt items, how much is the percentage of zakat, and upon whom is zakat obligatory. We'll try to inshallah complete the presentation by 7 o'clock. If we have time for questions, inshallah I'll take the questions. And if just in case if you don't have any time for questions and this topic has questions, you can either post it on the Masjid Facebook page, those who are listening online, or email inshallah, and we'll one by one inshallah reply to that. But we'll try to answer as much as possible in the sitting before 7 o'clock inshallah. What is the status and definition of Salah? Zakat is one of the most important pillars of Islam. It is a monetary act of worship, mali ibadat hai, or ibadah that has been obligated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Denying its obligation takes a person out of the fold of Islam. Not discharging zakat after it has become due is a major sin. So these first 3 points are the status of zakat in Islam. Now we come on the definition. It is a set amount ordained by Sharia that must be given with the intention of zakat from the wealth of a person, and the ownership of this amount must be transferred to eligible individuals. So 3 points are there. It's a set amount. Me and you cannot set it. Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam has decided it, and that's 2.5%. Second point is, when a person is taking out zakat, he should make the intention of taking out zakat. If he doesn't make the intention, just takes out 500 and puts there, and then he already gives it away also after 5 days. Then he realizes 10 days afterwards, I didn't do the intention. So that will not be counted as zakat. At least in the heart, you don't have to make the intention from the mouth. At least in the heart, you should have the intention when separating the money that this is for zakat. Third point in the definition is, you have to do tamlik. Samne wale ko malik banana padega. You have to give ownership to the opposite person. That's why zakat is not given in any cause in which we cannot transfer the ownership. That's why zakat cannot be given in the masjid, because nobody owns the masjid. Zakat cannot be given in the building of the madrasa, because nobody owns the madrasa. So zakat can only be given if the ownership is complete and can be transferred. What are the warnings in the Quran regarding discarding zakat upon whom it is obligatory? The ayah that I recited in front of you in the beginning, this is the translation of the ayah, Surah At-Tawbah, ayah 34 and 35. As for those who accumulate gold and silver and do not spend it in the path of Allah, give them the good news of a painful punishment. What is the punishment? On the day of judgment, it means the day of judgment. On the day means the day of judgment. It means the wealth. So on the day, this wealth will be heated up in the fire of Jahannam, then their foreheads and their sides and their backs shall be branded with it. It will be said to them, this is what you had accumulated for yourselves. So taste what you have been accumulating. So may Allah save all of us from this. Ameen. In the hadith, what is the warning? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the hadith of Bukhari, the person to whom Allah has bestowed wealth and he does not give zakat, on the day of resurrection, this wealth will be turned into a venomous, bald servant. The ulama say, what is the meaning of servant being bald? The snake being bald, it means there will be so much poison in it that the hair will go off his head. It will become bald. A venomous, a poisonous bald serpent which will wind around his neck and bite his jaws and say, Ana kanzuk, ana maluk. I am your wealth, I am your treasure. क़यामत के दिन जो ज़कात नहीं देता उसके माल को गंजे जहरीले सांप की शक्ल में तब्दील कर दिया जाएगा, जो गर्दन से लिपट जाएगा और जबड़ों से जो है उसको पकड़ लेगा और कहेगा मैं तुम्हारा माल हूँ, मैं तुम्हारा खजाना हूँ. Upon whom is zakat farz? So these are the 8 conditions that make the zakat obligatory upon the person. On this page we see 4 of them. Zakat is farz upon a person if he or she is a Muslim. That's understood. It's not obligatory upon a non-Muslim. An adult. If a child is a millionaire, a minor is a millionaire, he or she doesn't have to give zakat. Number 3, sane. If a person is sane, may Allah forbid, he's a millionaire, he doesn't have to give zakat. Number 4, owner of the wealth, at least the value of nisab. Now, what is nisab? Nisab is the threshold line. If you have below it, you don't have to give zakat. If you have this much and above it, then you have to give zakat. So we learn what the threshold line is. It changes almost every day, every month, every year, because it is based on the value of silver in the market and the prices go up and down. Other conditions. Furthermore, the wealth must be fully owned by the person. What does it mean? Fully owned by the person. Ownership means 2 things. You have it in your hand also, and you can spend it also. Sometimes we have it, we don't have it in our hands, but it belongs to us. We cannot spend it, in other words, okay? Because we don't have it in our hand, but it belongs to us. For example, you have lended money to someone. It belongs to you, but you cannot spend it because it's not in your hand. But at the end of the day, still it's your money. So it should be in our hands also. We should be able to spend it also. 6th condition, in the excess of personal needs. That money should be excess of personal needs, which means clothing, household furniture, utensils, cars, watches, whatever the personal needs are. वो माल जो है वो ज़रूरतें असलिया से ज़ायद हो, यानी हमारी ज़रूरतें जो अल्लाह ने असली ज़रूरतें बनाई हैं, कपड़े पहनना, घर के अंदर सामान जो ज़रूरत का है उसका होना, बर्तन का होना, इस्त्री का होना, फ्रिज का होना, गाड़ी का होना, ये घड़ी का पहनना, ये सारी ज़रूरियात हैं, इससे ज़ायद हो वो. It should be possessed by the person for at least complete Islamic lunar year. So the word hawl is used in Arabic for a complete year. So this means zakat has to be calculated based on Islamic year, not on English year. Because if you put an English date for your zakat, you will be delaying zakat by 10 days every year, and you are getting sinful. So it should be an Islamic date, whichever month. It should be of productive nature, i.e., gold, silver, cash, livestock, or trade goods. Productive means physically productive or potentially productive. Physically productive, goat, livestock. Physically productive, oh, sorry, these are physically productive. Potentially productive, gold, silver, stocks, trading goods, whatever the case. Upon whom is zakat farz? Once again, this continues. There is no zakat on assets. There is no zakat on assets that are not of a productive nature, even if these are in excess of one's needs, such as cars. You might have 2 cars, a minivan that you only take out over the weekend when the whole family goes out, and a regular sedan or a hatchback that you use for going to your job or on a daily basis. Now somebody could say, I can live with 1 car. So do I have to give zakat on the minivan that stands there most of the time? No. Still you're using it, it will be considered your need. Cars, utensils, houses. You live in one house and you have another house that is not on rent. It's not for investment. If it's for investment or rent, money will come, zakat will be calculated on it. But it's just a house or a house maybe in the suburbs or maybe upstate. Once in a while you go and spend your vacation there. It's for your own need, so you don't have to give zakat on it. As long as such items are not intended for trade. There is no zakat on those whose short-term liabilities due immediately exceed or equal their assets. What does it mean? You have a savings of $5,000, but the electricity bill is $500, the gas bill is $200, insurance due is $500, and everything is already due. You only have a grace period to pay for it. So once you do the calculation on the paper, whatever is already due for you goes beyond 5,000. So now you have no zakat on you. This is the meaning. Types of wealth on which zakat is farz obligatory. So before it was the people upon whom, the eight conditions that make the zakat obligatory. Now what type of wealth upon which is zakat obligatory? Gold and silver, be it in the form of jewelry, utensils, bullion, or any other form. Number two, cash, checking and savings balance. Number three, loans lent to others which are acknowledged. Number four, merchandise for business equal to the value of nisab. If the inventory in your store or warehouse is equal to nisab or more, you have to give zakat. Loan lent to others which are acknowledged. Number three, the detail will come down the road, inshallah. We'll go at that time in the detail. What is the meaning of being acknowledged? Livestock, that's understood. Six, income of properties if it is equal to the value of nisab. You are earning rent on cars or on land or on shops. So if it equals to the value of nisab, you have to give zakat. Income derived from a hiring business such as cars, vans, trucks. The value of these should be at least the amount which is shown under nisab, the quantum rate. Types of wealth, again, it continues any metal besides gold or silver as long as it is not for business purpose. Any wealth that is not for business, any metal that is not for business purposes, zakat is not obligatory upon it. Okay, before it was on the items on which zakat was obligatory. Right now, it's the item on which zakat is not obligatory. Number two, fixtures that is in the warehouse or the store, fittings, a machinery of a shop, a factory, delivery vehicle which is used in the operation of a business, diamonds, pearls, and other precious or semi precious stones which are for personal use. However, zakat is payable on the gold or silver used in jewelry with diamonds, pearls. What does it mean? I mean, your wife has a diamond ring. Okay? Now, zakat will not be calculated on a diamond. It will only be calculated on the silver ring or the gold ring that holds the diamond in it, or any other precious stone. As long as it's not for business, zakat is not on the stones. Now, how are you going to calculate the weight? That's why you have to go to the jeweler at least once. That's why it is said whenever we buy jewelry, get a receipt and save that receipt. Scan it or save it. It will have the weight also, and it will have give you the idea how much is the weight of the stone, how much is the weight of the gold or silver. This way, every year you can just take out the weight, multiply it by the value, multiply the product by 2.5%, you'll get your zakat. Imitation jewelry, there is no zakat on it. Living quarters, household furniture, personal clothing, whether they are in use or not. Somebody has five different watches. He uses one in weddings, he uses one at job, he uses one in the masjid. Though can be considered extravagance, but zakat is not obligatory upon them. Somebody has 25 pairs of clothing, though can be considered israf, but zakat is not obligatory because once in a while we use it. However, Islam does not justify extravagance. Nisab, we have been reading this word again, quantum, nisab, threshold line. What does it mean? The amount of wealth which makes one liable for zakat, that is called nisab. Nisab is the threshold line which separates those who are obligated to give zakat from those who are not. In other words, nisab is the minimum amount of wealth whose owner is deemed to be wealthy in Islam, and zakat is obligatory upon him. Whoever has nisab is a wealthy person in the terminology of Islam. Whoever has money below nisab is considered not a wealthy person in the terminology of Islam. Haul, meaning 1 year. Zakat is calculated periodically. Each period is one Islamic year long and is called a haul. A person's, now this is tricky, so let me read this and then inshallah we'll go into detail. Because there are three scenarios and they are mentioning all three in one page. A person's haul date on which he calculates his zakat every year is set by the date on which his zakatable assets reach the amount of nisab for the first time. Second, one full Islamic year after that date, the assets are at least the nisab value, as long as number three, some of the wealth remained throughout the course of the year, i.e., the wealth did not diminish to zero at any point throughout the course of this year. Thereafter, the zakat haul date remains constant on that date every year. So I won't go into detail because the details are mentioned in the preceding slides. These slides will be there on the Masjid on the Masjid Facebook page and YouTube, so you can always go back and check if you don't understand anything. If one's wealth diminishes to zero at any point, the whole calculation restarts from the point his wealth reaches the nisab amount again. If one's wealth decreases during the course of the haul and it increases again to the value of the nisab by the date of the haul, the zakat must be calculated on the full amount that is possessed at the date of the haul. Fluctuations in the course of the year are to be disregarded. This is the practical example. A person's yearly haul date is the 1st of Shaban, and his cash balances are, so we took the date of last year's Shaban, and then we took the date of this year's Shaban, that was 1 month ago. Shaban 1st, 1443 Hijrah, one has a balance of $2,000. Next month, Ramadan 1443, it increases to $4,500. 4 months down the road, Muharram 1st, 1444, New Year starts, Islamic New Year, balance goes down all the way to 200. So he had 4,500, and 3 months afterward, he has only 200 remaining. 1 year completes, 1st of Shaban, 1444 Hijrah, that was 1 month before from now. He has a balance of $2,500. So now see, there is so much fluctuation. He went up also, he went down also. But what is the answer? On how much money will he pay zakat? Zakat will be payable on the 2,500 at hand on the 1st of Shaban 1444 Hijrah. So no matter what the fluctuation is, whatever the balance is on the date of your zakat, that is when you have to take out zakat. Haul. Zakat is due on whatever wealth is in one's possession on the date of the haul. It is not necessary that any particular asset remains in one's possession for a full year. This is a very general question people ask. Does every penny has to complete 1 year? It's impossible to calculate if we want every penny to complete 1 year. Deen will become difficult. That's why Allah made it easy. Whatever you have the balance at the end of the year, as long as you don't hit zero. As long as you don't hit zero. If you hit zero, your credit history is lost. You restart. How are you going to restart? That's going to come, inshallah. But as long as you don't hit zero, even you come down to $5, but again you start moving up. And so whatever the nisab is at the end of the day, you have to give zakat on that. Nisab and the rate of zakat. How are we going to now determine how much is the zakat? 400. How much is the nisab? 400, 600, 700. The nisab of gold and silver as fixed by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is as follows. Deen has given us two standards. The hadith gives us the nisab of gold and gives us the nisab of silver. So the nisab of gold is 87.48 grams, which is equivalent to 2.81 troy ounces of gold. Back home, we used to take tola or grams. In this country, we take troy ounces because here they give us the rate in troy ounces. So 2.81 or 87.48 grams. What is the nisab of silver? 612.36 grams, which is equivalent to 19.69 troy ounces of silver. So सोने का निसाब 7.5 तोले है, या 87.48 ग्राम है, या 2.81 ट्रॉय आउंसेस है. और चांदी का निसाब 52.5 तोले है, या 612.36 ग्राम है, या 19.69 ट्रॉय आउंसेस है. Its equivalent amount of cash or trading assets, etc. Silver rate in the spot market on the 1st of April, that is today, the 10th of Ramadan, is to $24.10 per troy ounce. It's $24.10. So we multiply $24.10 by what number here on the screen? From what number? We are taking silver. So what number is there? 19.69 troy ounces. So 19.69 troy ounces multiplied by $24.10 comes out to $475. So every year you yourself can calculate and find out what's the nisab. Okay? This is how it is done. We check the value of silver for that day. Go online, kitco.com or whatever the precious metal websites that are there. Get the rate on which the market closed on that day. I checked today before coming here. So yesterday the market closed at $24.10. Multiply it by 19.69, you get the nisab of silver. Why are we taking the nisab of silver? Why not the nisab of gold? Because the principle is whichever nisab is cheaper, take that nisab. This way you are benefiting the poor people. Because if we take the nisab of gold, then maybe the nisab would be $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, and a good amount of people will not have to give zakat. Some of the ulama in the US are already of this opinion. I'm mentioning this so you don't get confused. Some of the ulama in the US are already of this opinion that we are allowed to take gold as nisab. In other words, we have an option, and they have the evidence. They are not wrong. They have the dalil. But on a general level, across the board, the muftis have not given this fatwa yet. So we are still sticking to the old standard that if we try to take silver as the nisab, we are benefiting the poor people. Some extra money comes out from our pocket, it's good for us. This brings the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you hear some alim saying that gold should be the nisab, from one perspective, he's right also. Nisab, threshold line, hawl and rate of zakat. As prices change frequently, the current market price of gold and silver must be used to calculate the dollar amount of nisab on the hawl date. So as I mentioned, whatever the price on that day is. If one only has gold assets, the nisab for gold must be used to see if he is liable for zakat. Similarly, if one has only silver assets, he is to use the nisab for silver. So if somebody has no cash, no dollars, no silver, he only has gold. So then we will take the value of gold, multiply it by 2.91, and then we'll see if he has to give zakat or not. Or in other words, if he has really 7.5 tolas of gold or 2.91 troy ounces of gold, otherwise not. Third point, if one has different types of zakatable assets, such as cash, merchandise, gold and silver mixed, he must use the lesser of the two nisabs. This is most beneficial for the poor. This we already discussed. The rate of zakat which was fixed by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is 2.5%, 1 out of 40 parts, i.e. 2.5 cents per dollar. Zakat is calculated by subtracting the liabilities due immediately or in the near future. What does it mean, liabilities due? It came before also. For example, 10th of Ramadan is your zakat date, and the gas bill is already due. The electricity bill is due. The cell phone bill is not due. The closing date for the cycle of the cell phone bill is, for example, today is the 1st of April. It's the 3rd of April. 2 days are still remaining. The billing cycle has not closed. So we cannot deduct it. It's not a liability because it's not incumbent. It's not on us right now. Once the billing cycle closes, then it comes on us. So immediate liabilities means those things that are already due, but you haven't paid them because the grace period is still there, that you can minus on the paper, and then whatever the balance, you have to give zakat. The method of paying zakat. Zakat should be given as soon as possible after it becomes due, rather than delaying it or waiting for Ramadan. It is possible that death occurs and thus leads to failure in fulfilling one's obligation. What does it mean? Sometimes people have different months. For example, my zakat becomes wajib on me in Rajab, 2 months before Ramadan. And I say to myself, Ramzan में ज़्यादा सवाब मिलता है. रमज़ान में मैं ज़कात दूंगा, अभी नहीं दूंगा. I will discharge in Ramadan because in Ramadan you get the reward multiplied 70 times. So I keep holding the zakat. A poor person comes, still I don't give him. This is wrong. What if I die? Then as if I never paid my zakat. If automatically it stays there because no poor person came, you were also researching, but you didn't find anyone and it is still lying there, that's not, we will not be held accountable for it. But to intentionally delay it is wrong. Zakat must be paid on a loan lent to others when the loan is received back. Now, it will come down the road, but let me explain it here. I'll skip it there. There are two types of loans that are acknowledged and loans that are not acknowledged. On the loan, technically, you don't have to give zakat at all, as it is mentioned. It will be given when we receive it back. But sometimes it becomes very, very difficult. Somebody returns your money to you after 6 years, and you have to calculate immediately all the zakat of the last 6 years and take it out. And sometimes it becomes burdensome. So that's why the ulama say we come on the second level. This is how it is. But if you think this will become burdensome, then come on the second level. Once we come on the second level, there are two scenarios. Zakat is acknowledged, or loan is acknowledged, or loan is not acknowledged. If loan is acknowledged, then it's better you keep on taking out every year. So once that person returns the money to you, you don't have to worry at all. You have already taken it out every year. But if it's not acknowledged, don't take it out. Maybe he never returns it to you. Then in that case, if he returns, you take out the last 6 years complete. If not, you don't have to do anything. Acknowledge और नॉन एक्नॉलेज का मतलब क्या हुआ? अगर ज़कात की आपने जिसको कर्जा दिया है, वो पहली बात है कर्जे पे ज़कात निकालनी नहीं होती क्योंकि वो आपके हाथ में नहीं है. लेकिन अगर 6 साल के बाद कर्जा मिला तो फिर झटके से पूरे 6 साल के पैसे निकालने पड़ेंगे, जो इंसान पे भारी हो जाता है. तो उलमा ने कहा है कि आप ना निकालें, बाद में एक साथ निकालें. ये तो सही मसला है. लेकिन अगर हमें लगे कि बोझ हो जाएगा तो दूसरी सूरत ये है कि अब हम देखेंगे कि जिसको हमने कर्जा दिया है वो मान रहा है या मुकर रहा है. अगर वो मान रहा है कि मैं लौटाऊंगा लेकिन अपनी कैफियत की वजह से जल्दी नहीं लौटा सक रहा, वक्त ले रहा है, तो एहतियातन हम हर साल ज़कात निकाल दें ताकि बाद में एकदम से हमको झटका ना लगे. लेकिन वो मुकर गया, भाई मैं नहीं जानता आपको, आप कौन हैं, आपने तो कोई मुझे कर्जा नहीं दिया, तो फिर हमें कुछ करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. अगर वो खुदा न खास्ता पैसे नहीं लौटाएगा तो हमें देनी ही नहीं है. अगर लौटाएगा तो 2, 4, 6, 8 जितने साल गुजरे हैं सबकी एक साथ हम ज़कात निकाल के अलग कर देंगे. जैसे कोई मुस्तहिक आएगा उसको देते रहेंगे. Zakat of all previous years during which the money was lent out must be calculated and paid. It is recommended that zakat on this loan be paid every year as long as it is acknowledged, so it does not become difficult to pay all the previous year's zakat at once when received. A poor person cannot be paid for his work from zakat. Yes. A poor person cannot be paid for his work from zakat, nor can zakat be given in payment of one's services, except when an Islamic government pays salaries to persons appointed to collect zakat. A person teaches in the Islamic school, he is eligible for zakat. He is eligible for zakat, but still you cannot give him zakat in the form of his salary. You want to help him other than salary, help him. But in salary you cannot. A maid comes to your house, a Muslim maid. She is eligible to receive zakat. You should give her zakat as a hadiyah on the side. You cannot pay zakat as her salary. Salary has to be given from clean money. Zakat will only be valid if the recipient is made the unconditional owner of the amount. This is referred to as tamleek, as I mentioned before, unconditional owner. Zakat cannot be given or used for the construction of a masjid, a madrasa, a hospital, a well, a bridge, or any other public amenity, because public owns it. One person doesn't own it. Here a question arises. Some of the contemporary ulama scholars are of the view that living in countries where we as Muslims are minority, it is allowed to use zakat to build a masjid also. to build a madrasa also. Now, here it is saying you cannot. Down the road, I'll go in the detail why there is a difference of opinion. The method of paying zakat. Poor adult students can be given a grant from zakat. Those who are going to an Islamic school or a madrasa, they can be given zakat if they are eligible to receive zakat. The zakat must be given to the student personally. If the student is not an adult, then his shari'i wakil, meaning the parents or legal guardian, must be eligible to receive zakat, and they must be given possession of the amount. If the child to whom, student to whom you are giving zakat is a minor, his status will not be considered. His parents' status will be considered. Are they eligible to receive zakat or not? Then only you can give him zakat. But if the student himself is a adult person, then you don't have to look to his parents. If he is eligible for zakat, you can give him zakat. Zakat can be paid in the same material on which it is due. For example, gold can be given as zakat, due on gold assets, or alternatively, it could be paid in cash. It is of vital importance to ensure that all times that the recipient is made the owner of the zakat. Authority can be delegated to another person or an organization for the distribution of zakat in order to utilize it in accordance with the laws of Sharia. You want to send zakat back home, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Syria. So you have to make someone wakil, a representative, and now he will give zakat on your behalf. You want to send it to an area where there is fighting going on, you cannot go. You have to give it to an aid organization. You can make them a wakil, a representative. Number 10, if a person requests someone to give a certain amount on his behalf as zakat, and that sum is given out, the discharge of the zakat will be valid. The sum given will be due upon the one who made this request. For example, someone is going back home, and I tell him, give $100 zakat from on my behalf. When you come back, I will give you the money. You are leaving tomorrow, I won't be able to meet you before you go to the airport, so give it from your side. And that person makes the intention that it is my zakat, Imam Sahib's zakat, and I'm giving on his behalf. So now it becomes obligatory upon me, I have to give him money because he paid on my behalf. If an agent is given zakat for distribution and he does not distribute it, the zakat will not be fulfilled. And the sin of not discharging the obligatory duty of zakat will remain upon whom it was due. So now if I make someone my wakil or representative, I should be sure that he or she is a trustworthy person. If I give them the money and if they don't pay, then I have to shell out more money because zakat is not paid. Zakat should not be paid by estimation. We have to exactly calculate it. Gold or silver jewelry must be weighed accurately for zakat purposes. As I mentioned, either we have a receipt so we know. If not, then maybe buying, it's not so expensive. We can get it on Amazon. A small machine that weighs the precious metals, keep it. It will help you for life. Whenever a new jewelry comes and you don't have a receipt, you can put on it, calculate the weight, save it on a paper on a computer. You don't have to use it again. Or you already have gold and you don't know how much is the weight of it, then use the machine and this way you will be able to find out. Number 12, okay, this is done. To whom zakat can be given? 8 categories Allah mentions in Surah Tawbah. Al-Fuqara, Al-Masakin, Al-Amilin, Al-Mu'allafatul Qulub, Al-Riqab, Al-Gharimin, Fi Sabilillah, Ibn As-Sabil. It will be, on the next slides will give us a definition of each category. Number 1, Al-Fuqara. This is the plural of Faqir. People who are poor and who possess more than their basic needs but do not possess wealth equal to nisab. They have some money. They might have, right now we discuss how much was the nisab? 475? 475. Yes, 475. So if somebody has $300, he can receive zakat. He will be considered from amongst the poor in Islam. Al-Masakin, the plural of miskin, people who are destitute and extremely needy to the extent that they do not have enough for their daily ration. So faqir is still a higher level. In Islam, miskin is much lower than a faqir. who doesn't know what will be the next meal, doesn't have even $5 in his hand. So both can be given zakat. Al-amilin, it is the plural of amil, which means the worker. Those persons who are appointed by an Islamic government to collect zakat. It is not necessary that this be a needy person. All eight category out of the eight categories, all seven have to be needy. But this third category doesn't have to be needy. Why? Because he is employed by the Islamic government. He goes and assesses the wealth of the people, gives them a ticket that this is your zakat, and then they give zakat and he gives them a receipt. So he will get paid from that same zakat that he is collecting, depositing in the Islamic Baitul Mal, the Islamic treasury, and then the government will issue the salary check at the month, at the end of the month. This is the Islamic way of collecting zakat, as it was time in the time of the Khulafa Rashidun, Abu Bakr, Umar radiallahu anhu, and even after that time. An assessor would go from the treasury. You have to open up all your wealth. There weren't any banks in those days. And he used to count your savings. He used to check your gold, weigh it, and then issue you a receipt or a ticket that this is your yearly zakat. Number 4, al-mu'allafatul qulub. Those persons that have recently accepted Islam and are in need of basic necessities, who would benefit from encouragement by Muslims, and it would help to strengthen their faith in Islam. A revered brother or sister who is in need also, so preference should be given to him or her as long as they are eligible to receive zakat. 5. Ar-riqab, the plural of raqaba. Those slaves that are permitted to work for remuneration and have an agreement from their owners to purchase their freedom on payment of fixed amounts. In those days, when slavery was still there, one of the types of slavery was the master would say, you pay me $50,000 in whatever number of years you want. I will give you 6 hours of working outside every day. The remaining time you do my khidmat, but 6 hours you can go out and do a job 5 days a week. And you gather that money when it's 50,000, give it to me, you are free for life. This is the price of your freedom. This is what is being meant here. Okay? That he can buy out his freedom. So we can give him money from zakat so he can quickly buy out his freedom. This is the meaning. But this is not intact today. I mean, these are the things that should not be mentioned publicly, but since this is happening public, some of our brothers and sisters ask this question: can slavery can still once again be alive today? It cannot be alive. I'm saying it clearly. Ask any mufti or alim. This is the unanimous decision of the ulama today. It's gone. What are the reasons? We are not going in those details because this is not the topic. So if somebody thinks in his mind that if jang ho rahi ho and a war is going on and this way I can get slaves, forget about it. This is not possible anymore. Okay? Number 6, al-gharimin. Those that have a debt and do not possess any other wealth or goods with which they can repay that which they owe. It is conditional that this debt was not created for an un-Islamic or sinful purpose. Gharimin is also a plural. A person who's on his neck is debt, meaning he is loaded in debt. So a person is maqroos, unke upar qarza hai. You can give them zakat with which they can pay off their qarza, their debt. But that money should not be taken, meaning that qarza should not be in the first place for an un-Islamic thing. Fi sabilillah, 7th category, those people that have to carry out an obligatory act and subsequently, due to loss of wealth, are unable to complete that farz. Muslim students acquiring Islamic knowledge, people spending their life in the path of Allah for the propagation of deen, to spread the word of Allah. These are all examples of fi sabilillah, जिसको हम अल्लाह का रास्ता कहते हैं कि अल्लाह के रास्ते में हैं, दीन के तलबा हैं, अल्लाह के रास्ते में दीन फैलाने वाले हैं, ये सारे के सारे fi sabilillah में आते हैं. But again, they have to be eligible to receive zakat. If they are rich, we cannot give them zakat. Important. Now, this is an answer to the question, to the ikhtilaf, to the disagreement, that why even living as minority in these Western countries, we are not supposed to give zakat for building of the masjids or building of the madrasas. This is the answer to this. All types of common charitable causes are not included in this category. A misunderstanding about the term fi sabilillah has led many Muslims to believe that this includes all types of charitable deeds. This is basically the evidence of those respectable scholars who say we can build a masjid in US or any Western country. This is their dalil. That fi sabilillah is general. It includes all charitable causes. We say no, it's not general. Why is it not general? The Quran and the Ahadith do not support this. If all charitable causes were included in this category, there would have been no need for mentioning 8 different categories or masarif in the Quran. अगर फी सबीलिल्लाह में हर नेक काम आ जाता तो फिर अल्लाह पाक को 8 अलग अलग मसारिफ जिक्र करने की ज़रूरत क्या थी? कुरान में तो एक हर्फ भी नाउज़ुबिल्लाह अल्लाह ज़ायद अल्लाह ने नहीं रखा है। हर हर्फ का एक मकसद है। तो अगर फ़ी सबीलिल्लाह में मस्जिद भी आ गई, मुसाफिर भी आ गया, दीन का तालिब इल्म भी आ गया, हॉस्पिटल भी आ गए, तो फिर अल्लाह को ये सारे अलग अलग कैटेगरीज बनाने की क्या ज़रूरत थी? हम ये दलील देते हैं कि इससे नाउज़ुबिल्लाह कुरान का लव होना साबित होगा। उनकी ये दलील है कि नहीं, फ़ी सबीलिल्लाह में हर चीज़ आ जाती है। Okay. We say that if fi sabilillah is generalized as you are saying, then there won't be any need for mentioning 8 categories. Allah doesn't even mention one single letter in the Quran without a reason or without an objective. So that's why otherwise the purpose would be lost. So that's why making it 8 categories means we cannot generalize it. Okay? Somebody needs more detail for satisfaction, inshallah you can meet me alone in other than after Ramadan, because Ramadan is busy. And if you need to further convince yourself, we can go in the details, inshallah. Ibn Sabil, those who are musafir, travelers in the view of Sharia, and during the course of their journey do not possess basic necessities, though they are well to do at home. They could be given zakat in order to complete their travel needs to return home. For example, I'm traveling to Maryland, okay, and I reach Maryland. I'm in a car. All of a sudden, somebody stole my wallet, my phone, everything. Okay, I have no way to even communicate and call a friend or text him to sell me the money in my account, so I can use my ATM card. In other words, everything is lost. I might have $10,000 in my account 4 hours away back home in New York, but in Maryland, I am penniless. Can I take this much zakat so I can fill the gas in my car, take a meal on the way, and reach home? Yes, I can take this much zakat. I'm allowed because I have no money. Though I'm rich back home, but still I can say take zakat. This is the meaning of Ibn Sabil, traveler. To whom zakat can be given? In 15-18 minutes, as much as we can, inshallah, we'll try to wrap up. All the above mentioned recipients, excluding al-amilin, must be those who do not possess the nisab. This we already mentioned. 7 have to be those who are in need and don't have the nisab. When giving zakat, one's poor and needy relatives should be given preference. रिश्तेदारों को तरजीह दी जाएगी. To avoid embarrassment, it should be given without saying that it is zakat. बता के देना जरूरी नहीं है. चुपके से आदमी दे ताकि सामने वाले को शर्मिंदगी ना हो. There is great reward in giving zakat to poor persons who are striving in the way of the deen, those who are engaged in religious knowledge, Islamic school students, madrasa students, maktab students, or to religious institutions where poor or needy students are being cared for. Care should be taken that only such institutions are given zakat which use it according to the Sharia. Hamza Masjid has Hifz school also, has Islamic school also, has Maktab also. You can check with the management. If any child is eligible to receive zakat, they cannot pay the fees, give them the zakat. The zakat can be used for them. A child of a wealthy father cannot be given zakat. When such a child becomes mature and does not own wealth to the value of nisab, he may then be given zakat. So if a child, though he has no money himself, but he is the child of a wealthy father, he cannot be given zakat. Yes, he becomes mature. Now he's on his own and the father becomes annoyed with him for whatever reasons. Mother se kyun gaye, maine tumhe engineer banana tha. So he doesn't have no money. So now zakat can be given to him because he's mature and he does not have any wealth of his own. Zakat can be given to all these people, we can give zakat. But the brothers, sisters, nephew, nieces, uncles, aunts, step grandfathers, step grandmothers, father in laws, mother in law, provided they do not possess nisab, grandfathers and grandmothers, both paternal and maternal. Zakat cannot be given. किसको नहीं दी जा सकती? Zakat cannot be given to the Sayyid Sadat, meaning those who are from the progeny of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We can give them clean money or nafil sadaqah, but we cannot give them zakat. Zakat cannot be given to immediate antecedents. What are antecedents? Going upwards, such as parents, grandfather. In the same manner, one's descendants going down, such as children and grandchildren cannot be given zakat. A husband and wife cannot give zakat to each other. So zakat ऊपर नहीं दे सकते, नीचे नहीं दे सकते और दाएं बाएं नहीं दे सकते. क्या मतलब है? दाएं बाएं नहीं दे सकते, शौहर बीवी को नहीं दे सकता, बीवी शौहर को नहीं दे सकती. ऊपर नहीं दे सकते, बाप दादा परदादा. नीचे नहीं दे सकते, बच्चे पोता पोती जो है नवासा नवासी, इनको हम zakat नहीं दे सकते, चाहे zakat के मुस्तहिक हो. ये खून का रिश्ता माने बनता है ज़कात देने से, उनको दूसरे लोग ज़कात दे सकते हैं. Zakat contributions cannot be given to such institutions or organizations that do not give the rightful recipients possession of zakat, but instead use zakat funds for construction, investment, or salaries. Zakat must be given in the ownership of eligible individuals. If we are giving to any organization, make sure it's a trustworthy organization, number one. Check how much do they deduct for their running expenses, for the operation costs. If they deduct 2%, 5%, 10%, 15%, give that from clean money. Because if they deduct 10% from your zakat will be paid 10% less. For example, you want to give zakat $100 to an organization, it's trustworthy. But they minus $10 from every $100 to take for their operational costs, which is jais. How are they going to run themselves? So now you should give $100 from zakat and give $10 from clean money, and you pay them $110. So this way 100 will go in zakat, 10 clean money will go in operational cost. Otherwise, as if you paid only $90 of your zakat, and $10 will still be hanging and you will be held sinful by Allah. Number 4, zakat cannot be given to non-Muslims. If one cannot determine whether the recipient is needy or not, it is better to make certain before giving zakat. If zakat is given without inquiry and subsequently it is known that the recipient is wealthy, the zakat is not valid. It has to be given again. अच्छी तरह research करें हम. We should inquire deeply. If we are not satisfied, don't give those people zakat. Give them sadaqah. Give them regular money. If there is a risk that your zakat will not be valid. Zakat will not be fulfilled by purchasing books for an institution or land purchased for public utility and made waqf. Madrasa. You are buying books and giving it as an endowment to the madrasa. You cannot give it. Though poor people are studying there. You want to buy books and make a poor student malik, owner of that book, you can do it. But you cannot give it as an endowment or give it to an institution. Zakat cannot be used for the kafan of a deceased person who has no heirs. And sometimes a person passes away and people start collecting money for his funeral costs. You cannot give zakat in funeral costs because nobody is becoming malik of it. Zakat cannot be given as salary or amount due upon a contract. We already discussed it. Zakat cannot be given to construct a masjid or school. We discussed it. A dead person's debt cannot be paid from zakat. A person passed away, he has a debt of $5,000. Funeral expenses, the masjid paid, for example, from its funeral fund. Now he has $5,000 and the family is being bugged and bothered by the people who owe the money, to whom he owes the money. Can be gather zakat so we can pay off his debt? No. Why? Because zakat has to be given to him. and he is in the grave. How can he become an owner now? So that's why we have to pay his debt from regular sadaqah or regular money. Articles that are for sale are referred to as merchandise. The nisab for zakat on merchandise is the same as that for cash, meaning $475 and above. Zakat is obligatory on the following items when calculating a balance sheet: stock in trade, goods in transit that have been paid for, cash on hand, cash at the bank, savings account, fixed deposits, claims acknowledged. We already discussed what does it mean that loans are acknowledged. Other savings. All these must be added as one amount, and after subtracting the creditor's amount and or any other liabilities, the balance must be added to the capital. Zakat must be then be given on this combined figure. What does it mean, creditor's amount? Okay. For example, you bought, it happens those who run a store or a business know. You get the merchandise delivered, money is not due upon delivery, it's credit you have to pay after 1 week. So when calculating zakat, the merchandise is already in your warehouse. You can deduct that money that you have to pay after 1 week because you have already received the merchandise. This is the meaning. Zakat should be given on the capital that exists on the haul date, meaning your zakat date, which includes the profit. For example, at the beginning of the year, the capital is 20,000. When the year ends, a profit of 5,000 is shown. Now the balance is 25,000. Zakat must be given on 25,000. If a bad debt is recovered and it is equal to or exceeds the nisab, then zakat on all the past years must be given. We discussed this in detail. If one has various different types of merchandise, then the total value of all the goods should be calculated. If it is equal to or exceeds the value of nisab, then it will be necessary to give zakat. A person has $50, has half gram of gold, has 5 grams of silver. Everything is incomplete. Gold is not reaching its nisab, silver is not reaching its nisab, money is not reaching its nisab. It's 475 and he has only $50. So all three will be combined. Then the value will be calculated. And if that combined value of 3 items reaches $475, then he has to give zakat, otherwise not. If at the beginning of the year one has the full nisab and during the year the amount decreases and by the end of the year possession of the full nisab is regained, then it will be necessary to give zakat on this amount regardless of fluctuations in the interim. Okay, what does it mean? 3 scenarios. You have $5,000 at the beginning of the year. It goes down to 2,000, 6,000, 10,000, ups and down, but doesn't hit 475, that is the nisab. It stays above 475. End of the year, whatever the balance, you have to give zakat. This is the first and easiest scenario. Second scenario, you have $5,000 at the beginning of the year, but a time comes you have only $50 in your account. It went below the nisab line also. But once again, when first Ramadan came the next year, you are again $2,000. So though it went down the nisab, but since it didn't hit zero, you have to give zakat on whatever the balance is on the first of Ramadan or whatever your date is. Third scenario, in which you lose your credit history. It restarts as if you were never paying zakat, is it hits a zero. You have $5,000, in the middle of the year it hits zero. Now you are a poor person. Now you have to wait until the date you get $475. Once on the day you get $475, meaning you have this much savings, again your year will start counting from now, and then you have to wait for 1 more year, and now you will have a new zakat date. अगर हमारी सेविंग्स वो ज़ीरो हो जाए या हम जो है उल्टा खसारे में चले जाएं तो हमारा साल ज़ाया हो जाता है जो साल का निसाब है. अब जब दोबारा सेविंग्स $475 तक पहुंचेगी या जो भी निसाब हो उस वक्त, तो फिर दोबारा हम अमीर समझे जाएंगे और उस दिन से हमारे साल का पहला दिन शुरू होगा. अब वो रबियुल अव्वल हो, रबियुल सानी हो, शव्वाल हो, हम नोट कर लें. पहले तो रमज़ान था, अब जब अगले साल शव्वाल आएगी तो हमारा 1 साल पूरा होगा. और ये एक ही सूरत बनती है जब आदमी ज़ीरो को हिट करे. चाहे $2 भी होंगे सेविंग्स में, इस सूरत पे हम अमल नहीं करेंगे. Zakat on stocks must be calculated on the hall date. Zakat is due at the current price of shares held in a company at the end of the year. Ramadan, you have shares, no matter it's what the buying price is or no matter how high it went, whatever the current price is, you're going to calculate that. As machinery, land, fixtures and fittings, furniture, buildings are exempt from zakat, one is allowed to subtract these from the total assets. This could be obtained from the company's annual report. This is only for those people who own stocks, so they understand what we are saying here. When zakat is given on a capital amount once, then thereafter, if the same amount remains with the owner until the following year, then zakat will be due again. Zakat will be due repeatedly after every haul has elapsed. बाज़ दफ़ा लोग पूछते हैं ना, मेरे पास $2000 थे, मैंने पिछले साल ज़कात दे दी, इस साल भी वही 2000 हैं, कुछ कमी ज़्यादती नहीं हुई, तो क्या मैं दोबारा ज़कात दूंगा? मैंने तो पिछले साल दे दी. हाँ, आप दोबारा ज़कात देंगे. जब तक जिंदा हैं आप ज़कात हर साल देंगे, क्योंकि एक साल गुजर रहा है. एक साल गुजरने के बाद दोबारा से ज़कात ड्यू हो जाती है. Alhamdulillah, so we finished. 3-4 minutes are there. If anybody has any questions, inshallah they can ask. If someone asks you for zakat and you don't know whether they are eligible or not, take some time from them or verbally ask them whatever is respectfully possible and tell them, give us some time, inshallah, I'll try my best. Don't give them a word. And then try to inquire externally. When you speak and inquire from them and you are satisfied, go ahead and give them. If not, inquire, research externally. If satisfied, yes, otherwise give them from regular money or sadaqah or apologize. Ji. Good question. We should not do zakat by estimation, we should do calculation, but sometimes right away it's not possible. Maybe some type of government fund or something. It might take you some time, but you don't want to delay it. Ramadan, your zakat date is right there. So yes, do the estimation, do an extra estimation, inshallah. Give extra zakat, but down the road, whenever it's possible, then do the correct calculation for your own satisfaction to make sure that it did not exceed what you had. Yes. Very good question. Ownership means two things. It should be in your hand and you should have the capacity to spend it also. 401k, it belongs to you, but it's not in your hand. You cannot spend it. So, but yes, zakat will still come on it. Why? Because you allowed them with your free will to deduct your money. It's not by force. You could have told them, I don't want to invest it in 401k. So your rida, your agreement and your consent will be considered as if it's your money and you have to calculate zakat. Why? Otherwise, after 60, 65 years, whatever the case is, you get the money, then you have to calculate instantly on all the years. And that's almost impossible. It will become difficult. ठीक है इंशाल्लाह. So we will end. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us understanding of this. Ameen. Subhanallah wa bihamdih. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.